Asmongold was 100% right about Dragon Age, the Veilguard. He has been vindicated for absolutely trashing this game after looking at some of the previews for it. And you didn't even have to look at the previews for this, because if you've been watching this channel, you knew that this game was going to be absolutely 100% ultra woke. I've been covering this for months now, and I've been providing receipts that go back to at least 2022, where the game's director, a man pretending to be a woman using the name Corrine Bush, told us that the Dragon Age franchise at large has always been, quote, very inherently queer. So I wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. You can find a link to this in the description below. You can also find a link to become a member of the channel, where you can support me in exposing this woke ideology and attempting to eradicate it from our society and, firstly, entertainment at large. So this is what Asmongold said back in September. When they got that first play test came out, where people got 7 hours or whatever, and he was looking at the IGN one, and he absolutely trashed this game, saying it looks like a mobile game, and saying this is actually worse than Concord, and it 100% is. We absolutely have confirmation of this. We knew this, I think, beforehand. Again, like I said, anyone who's been watching this channel, you knew this, but we now have lots of confirmation about this, given the fact that the review embargo has released for this game, and a number of physical copies have already made their way into the hands of gamers. And so just to kind of give you a brief recap, we did have a playtester breaking his NDA earlier this month and informing YouTuber Nuri that the game was ultra woke and included the Kunari companion Tosh, informing the player character that she is, quote, non-binary. This is what that playtester said. She told me that I am a non-binary person. How the hell that a fantasy game and Thetis have the word non-binary? She said that I don't like men and I don't like women. I identify myself as non-binary, just like that. And that is indeed what we get here. Nuri posted this screenshot over on X. We can take a look at that right here. You can see that is indeed what Tosh says here in this conversation. Non-binary, I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on. So Tosh clearly comes out as this quote-unquote non-binary character sometime during the game. In fact, there's literally also a dialogue option in the dialogue wheel here that allows you to choose gender identity options when responding to characters, and I assume this unlocks it, and then you get all options like that throughout the game, clearly pushing this stuff into the forefront of the game. There's more than that as well. Here's another piece that Nuri shared. This is this character here. The Rook is the player character saying, take a long, hard look in it, kid. It'll always show the face of a hero who can get it done. And then you have the option here that says establishes transgender identity and unlocks new dialogue options in future conversations. So there is literally an option, I would assume, at the very beginning of the game where you say, I'm getting there or whatever, and you are, I guess, a quote-unquote transgender character in the game, and you play that way, and you get dialogue options throughout the game. I mean, it's sick stuff here. This is not a video game anymore. This is a ideological message packaged as a video game. They're not selling you entertainment. They're not selling you consolation. They are not selling you fantasy. They are selling you ideology. That is what this is. And it's indisputable. Indisputable. There's more, though, as well. We have this screenshot. I don't know when it takes place in the game. It looks like it takes place either just before Tosh decides to be a non-binary person or just after, because you have Nev telling Tosh, some of my friends in Minrathis talk about not feeling comfortable in their own skin as a man, as a woman. So it either takes, like, Nev's trying to comfort Tosh after Tosh decides to be non-binary, or it's literally leading up to Tosh saying that she is non-binary. I mean, you just cannot make this stuff up. But as I said, this is not surprising. If you've been following my coverage for the last couple of months on this game, you know that back in 2022, the game director, as I said at the very beginning, a man pretending to be a woman who uses the name Corrine Bush, literally described Dragon Age as inherently very queer in a developer story on BioWare's website. This is what Bush said. As a queer trans woman, I have a perspective on the games that not everyone has. Dragon Age has long been a place where LGBTQIA plus folks can see people like themselves represented respectfully. It's inherently very queer, and it's such a rare thing for marginalized communities to have representation where we feel proud and powerful in how we are depicted. It's so deeply meaningful for so many. I often get emotional when I think about what it would have meant for a younger version of myself to see someone like her in a game, and as a hero, no less. I hope we can be a safe place for our queer players to know they are not alone, and that they are brilliant and worthy, that they are not only welcome, but celebrated. That's right. Like I said, this is not a video game providing entertainment, consolation, or fantasy. It is literally a ideological package masquerading as a video game. That is what they are selling. And we also had this from Grums. The game director, Bush, posted this was in his bio, obviously, the flag there that co-ops the pro-life colors. It's absolutely sick and disgusting. But you can see here the hashtags, hashtag trans rights, hashtag Black Lives Matter. And then also he describes himself as a queerosexual gendermancer. Anyone describing themselves as that is unfit to serve as a game director, because clearly they are unstable. They are an unstable individual. They clearly have issues that they need to figure out. But this is what BioWare and EA do. They are empowering people that have these issues. And it's not just BioWare, right? We see this across a lot of video game companies. And then we also had the press interviews where we had creative director John Epler telling Game Rant that all the companion characters are pansexual. And he said this: there's a difference between player sexual and pansexual. All companions are canonically pansexual. We also had Bush telling IGN the companions were pansexual, and IGN's Alex Simmons reported this. Bush insists that they're all specifically pansexual, and that might come through in what you learn about their backstories. And then Bush went on to explain how that works. He said this: their past experiences are partners. They'll reference them and indeed who they'll become romantic with. For instance, we saw Harding. I might be playing a straight male character flirting with her, but I choose not to pursue a romance. She might get together with Tosh. So my perception, my identity has no bearing on their identities, and that comes through really strongly. So you can't even opt out of this stuff. You cannot opt out of the gender ideology in the game. It hits you in the face. It is there. Your decisions do not affect this gender ideology being propagated onto you in this game. Bush literally announcing that in an interview a couple months ago about the game. And then obviously when we got that 7-hour play test, it was revealed that the character creator had top surgery scars that players could choose. And then it also included options for various pronouns, including she, her, he, him, and they, them. And then it also allowed them to choose between man, woman, and non-binary. So we knew all of this was in the game like months in advance. So none of this is really surprising. It's all just confirmation. And it just proves that Asmongold was indeed right. This is actually worse than Concord. Sure, Concord had the pronouns for the characters, but it didn't have as far as I know, it didn't have pansexual companions. Maybe it was going to be worse if we got to see some of those vignettes that they were promising, because I do think that they were going to be pushing a lot of that stuff in the vignettes if they were able to actually allow them to do that, if the game wasn't shut down 2 weeks after release. But this game is much, much worse than Concord with how it is pushing its message, whether you look at the character designs, whether you look at the pronouns, whether you look at the character creator, whether you look at the dialogue options, whether you look at which is part of the gameplay. It is way worse than Concord, and Asmongold was 100% right in his assessment on that. And it also proves that you do not need to purchase the game and play it in order to judge that game on its merits. You can perfectly see how absolutely degenerate, disgusting, despicable, and evil this game is and say, no, not for me. Will not be playing that. And I'm going to encourage other people not to play it either, because it will do harm to them, whether psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. But let me know what you guys make of this. What do you make of all of this being confirmed with the embargo being released? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.